Welcome to Reliance Community Church. Our heart's desire is to help you connect with the living hope, Jesus Christ, by building a relationship with Him. The more we focus on discovering who God really is through Jesus Christ, the more we are changed. Knowing God intimately can transform your life into one of passion, joy, adventure, and peace. We hope this teaching can help you in your own personal journey. If there is anything we can do to assist you in that journey, pray for you, or encourage you, don't hesitate to contact us, and we'll tell you how to do that at the end of this teaching. We are so glad you are here with us today. And now, Pastor Joel.
Today is probably going to be one of the hardest sermons I've ever preached in my life. I haven't been very expressive over 2 years about my journey. And it's not going to be a morning session today. It's going to be a session that I'm going to share how I've had to journey a part of my life that I wasn't prepared to live. Life is not fair. I want you to go to Acts chapter 27. Today I'm going to speak to you as a shepherd like I do every week, but I'm going to be very strong and I'm going to be very pointed. And the strong part of this is I am tired of seeing you and I fall to battles where we give up too soon and don't finish the course. And you go through the same thing again and again because God is trying to teach you how to get through some of those things. And we constantly create patterns and we create behaviors that we regret and we resent. Not every one of my choices are beautiful. I have regrets. But I will tell you this, that if we could get a clue from God's Word and learn how to make it in life, life could be a whole lot easier. As I look at some of you, you never thought or ever imagined your life would be where it has taken you right now. You couldn't even imagine it. I can't imagine my life. I can't imagine. But does it give me reason to hate God? Does it give me reason to stop being committed to serving? Does it reason to give it a reason to cause me to stop fellowshipping and encouraging others? And is it a reason for me to stop giving to somebody else? Is it a reason? No. See, in Acts chapter 27, we're not going to look at it right now, all of it, but verses 1 to 12 is basically just a quick synopsis. Is Paul is a prisoner. This is not the Love Boat. Paul went on as a prisoner. And he was going to be sent in this boat to stand before Caesar. And Paul knew he had to do that. But he got on the boat. And he told them, this isn't a good idea. Have you ever had a situation happen in life when you turn to God and say, God, this is not a good idea? And some real strong Christian says, there must be sin in your life. You know, people have the oddest ways to say things, but stuff happens. But there's times that you'll say, God, this is not a good idea, and I don't like it. I've heard myself say that many times, but it didn't mean that I wasn't willing to go through with what he was taking me, but it's okay to say, God, this idea, yeah. So when you get to verse 13, it says, when a gentle south wind began to blow, they thought they had obtained what they wanted, so they weighed anchor and sailed along the shore of Crete. Before very long, a wind of a hurricane force called the northeaster swept down from the island. I'm going to do this over 2 weeks. Life is a series of peaks and valleys. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. But the most difficult times when we need a little more support and guidance, I'm a firm believer that how you respond in your moments of battle will dictate how you live your life. When you can improve your ability to navigate difficult times, when you're not only just navigating to better times, but you're learning to be happy through some of the most difficult times. but then you also grow as a person. So I started to think a little more that Paul's life was hacked. Let's do a quick story of Paul. Paul felt he was called to persecute the church, which was the church of Jesus Christ. He felt it was a false prophet, it was a false story. And he, with all his might, with the orders from Rome, goes and starts destroying Christ's followers. And then what happened in the book of Acts is Paul, he was Saul, had a conversion experience where he was on a donkey and got knocked off it and had an encounter with Jesus Christ. And the one who he persecuted, he no longer persecuted. And then as you read his writings, he has words of, I have fought the fight. I count it all joy. So the point that I want to bring you to is how you get through what you're going through, it starts with who you are. What have you filled your life with? What have you built your life up? What have you taken inside of you that is your mainstay, your core? What is it that is your core that gives you the strength to smile and be happy and walk through the most difficult times in life? What is that core? And we can thank God for legacy of family, but the core comes down to is what Jesus has deposited in you and what you nurture. I'm not going to go into a depression mode on this today, so no one go there with me. But I'm going to tell you something. I didn't expect my wife would ever be diagnosed with cancer. Never. Never expected it in a million years. We would talk and we would say, our life, we're getting gypped. I'm sorry if you're on this, but I want to teach a lesson, okay? I don't mean to make this uncomfortable. I want you to know she's in a better place. I'm doing okay, but I'm going to teach you how to get through stuff when it's bigger than you. All in favor, say aye. You ever had stuff bigger than you and you wonder why the heck you're still stuck in stuff? I'm going to tell you how you get out of it today because I've had to practice it. I wish it was someone else that had to practice it that could have wrote the book. Unfortunately, I won. Do you hear what I'm saying? This isn't fun to talk about. But it's freedom for you if you understand what I'm talking about because it'll give you a perspective on how to live life. See, the first thing I want you to understand is life may never be the way you've hoped, but either way you have to learn how to cope. You have to learn how to cope. See, coping isn't choosing to hide in something. Coping is accepting the reality of what's there. And I know that my address will not be grief forever. My address is going to be celebration through my journey. All in favor, say aye. See, if you get this with me this morning, coping is the use of spiritual beliefs, attitudes, and practices. If you don't cope with those practices that are spiritual, you will cope with alcohol, getting drunk out of your mind, with drugs, partying, wild things, all you want, running from responsibility when you don't know how to cope. Did you hear what I just said? You cannot hide behind a bottle and think you win. You cannot hide behind porn and think you found love. You cannot hide thinking you have it when you don't if you're not dealing with reality and how you get through stuff. I'm a real dude. I'm a dude. I have real emotions. I have a real heart. I have real needs. I have real desires. You think God doesn't know? You are a real person. You have real pain. So how do you cope? First thing is you got to make sense of where you are. If you got the notes, circle that thing. Make sense of where you are. Well, how do you make sense of something that doesn't make sense? Right? It might be hard to control with what has happened, but we have to make choices through it. Ever had a bankruptcy? Never thought you'd ever get back on your feet. Loss of job? My God, how are we going to pay the bills? Or retired and go back to work? What? Struggles? How about filing for divorce and changing your mind? How about ready to walk out but stay in? See, what we get to here is we have to understand that we have to take a look at what's going on around us and make sense. Here's what I had to make sense of. God knows more than me. Right, Tim? God knows more than me, Diana. But sometimes I like to think I know more. Based on my choices, based on my behaviors, I tend to set a precedent, being that I know everything. I don't know everything. So what I had to come to, Robert, was I had to make this sense. God, I may not like everything you do, but I trust that you have a clue. And once I made sense, I had to do something that was very important in my journey. And it started with behavioral choices. Some of us have to look at our behavioral choices and why the patterns exist and why they're there. And if the choices continue, you will find that there has to come to that altar time and change your behavior, because the behaviors are not helping you cope. They're only causing you to have a bigger problem. So how do you get through it? I believe it's with intentional living. Intentionality. What's intentionality? See, if you intend to do something, Jeff, you'll do it. If I intend to do something, I will do it. I think we don't know what we're intentional about. And why we're not intentional is we don't know what we believe. Because if you don't know what you believe, you can't be intentional in your behavior. Because if you don't have something rock solid you have, how are you intentional about it? You can't be. How about your idea of a healthy marriage? If you don't understand what a healthy marriage is, how can you intend to have one if you don't know what it is? How about having an intentional, healthy family? How about intentionally blending a family if it comes to that? How about intentionally journeying when you lose a job? How about intentionally journeying when you lose or when you fill in the blank? How about when you intentionally do something? See, I had to get up intentionally every day and choose not to sit in darkness. But you know where it was more comfortable? In the darkness. Because you know why? I didn't have to answer a question. See, it was intentional that I had to get in light. It was intentional that I couldn't hide. It was intentional that I had to say, no, I will not. Can I be real blunt this morning? You might not like it. Can I be blunt this morning? Point at me if you want me to be blunt. If you don't, you better run. There was a split second, and I'm confessing this. There was a split second, 3 days after Terry passed, that I was sitting, and I said, I understand Romeo and Juliet. Three days later, and you know what I was thinking. And I stopped, and I said, I bind every thought. I take every thought captive in Jesus' name, because I will live intentionally towards what you put in me. If you think I'm a weak pastor because I'm admitting this, I think you're jacked up. I'm sorry. If you were looking for a perfect homily, I'm the wrong homilist. I want to see you live life. I want to see you conquer the things that can destroy you and defeat you. I am battling the thing that could have took me out. But I had to intentionally choose to get up And I had to intentionally get up because I had grandkids. I intentionally had to get up with my kids. I intentionally had to live because I have parents. I intentionally had to live because I have a church. And I am intentionally going to live the purposes of God, that I will live strong in front of you, not for a celebration of me, but intentionally knowing, Carla, that what God puts in us, God can bring to fruition. That's what God can do. I am not in defeat, but it's intentionality, Sham. When you choose to do it, you get up and you face it. When you lose something, someone that's so dear, you got to put your shoulders back and intentionally live on and celebrate the memory, celebrate the legacy, celebrate whatever it is. Don't stay imprisoned. Whatever God has put in you, keep going. Don't stop. Richard, as I was thinking of this thing, I was thinking, man, I should get someone else to preach this week. I don't want to do this. Because, Regina, I don't want to make us feel like we're going backwards. Nobody feels like we're going backwards, right? But I'm trying to help you to see the things that you have lost. If you get intentional about it, the things that you thought you lost with your calling, the things you thought you lost with your future, the things you thought you lost, you have not lost. When you get intentional, He will show you something even greater. And the greater things will come with intentional living. So what did I have to learn to become intentional about? I had to answer this. Intentional living is about knowing why you do what you do and why you don't do what you don't do. Did you get that? I had to become intentional about knowing why you do what you do and why you don't do what you don't do. I had to look at that mark and think, why the heck am I doing that? Why? And then you do something, you go, how did that happen, Steph? Where did that come from? How in the world did that work? So I had to take a look at myself, Mikey, and say, what is it? What am I not intentional about? And some of those intentions, I were continually doing wrong things. I had to pull them back in and say, And there's times you have to sever things out of your life because you have to be intentional on knowing this. I think if Jesus Christ walked into this room today and He asked you what you would want, I hope, dads, here's what I hope we say, that I might be made whole. Don't just heal my broken shoulder. Don't just heal my broken heart. Don't just heal my broken leg. Don't just heal my broken whatever it is. Don't just heal that. Make me whole. See, when you start thinking that way, when you think about being made whole, something shifts because now it's intentional. See, I think of this. Amanda, if I want to be whole, I have to be intentional about my choices to be whole. So what are the things you do that you shouldn't do? If you want to get whole, then you have to do them. I wish there was a magic potion that could make grief quicker. Anybody besides me? And grief doesn't just have to be my situation. In your journey, Patty, you know when your brother passed just this past season, and you've got this whole legacy of this stuff, and how many have ever lost anybody? You know what I'm talking about is you just wish this would sort of speed up, and the things that you wish would hurry up, and they don't hurry up, and your journey and you've got to come to this place. I think part of the challenge that I learned is point 3 is to live an intentional life. I must go back and lay a proper foundation and then add very practical steps. And this is for you, how to get through your defeat so you could start laying practical steps. My step number 1 was this. I'd get up, Mark, and I'd say, today is the day. God, help me make right choices. What I was really praying was, God, give me the conviction to stand by the choices I know I need to make. So I stay true to this. Is this okay for you guys? Because if you're facing this, you have to intentionalize. And some of you are sitting there thinking, yeah, I would add this point to it too. Email me them later because they'll help me. But I had to get practical. Bob, I had to be practical. I had to get up and say, today, this is what I will do. And Claudia, what my choice was, the other part of setting a foundation was I was taking in and drinking healthy word. I was feeding my inner man with the word. And then the third thing I chose to do, I said, find someone I can love in spite of my pain. I hear people say, well, my life is so broken, so full of stuff that I can't do anything. I'm telling you what, that's the time you want to do. That's the time you want to do. And then the fourth one, there's always someone that has it worse than me. Because it's easy to get caught in the tidy bowl that you're the only one in the world that's got it. Last one. The intentional living is about doing the things that are important to you even when it's not easy. I hope this is making sense today. I don't know. I'm being honest, flat out. So for 2 years, in my closet, I have my wife's wedding dress and her ashes. For 2 years. So I go back to my preaching to myself that I'm preaching to you, is I had to make sense. Is some of you have kept your ashes of pain in your closet for so long that they're a part of what your life is. Does it make sense? So I picked up the ashes. Marie, I picked them up. And I said, this doesn't represent defeat. This represents memories. I didn't cry. I smiled. Because Josiah, when you're intentional, I was smiling. I kissed the box. I said, I had the best. And if you're a size 0, I'll give you a wedding dress. And it's not because I'm closing a chapter of leaving her. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm telling you, I'm wanting to live intentional so I'm healthy and whole. This is a heavy Father's Day message, and some of you taking this really hard. I'm sorry, I don't mean to do that, but I'm wanting you to see that there's victory coming in this, right? Is there victory coming in this? So as I do this, my gardener comes over, and we're talking this week. And Tony comes in, and I think he's your gardener, Maria, and he also does the property. I don't know, his accent's really strong, and he can't call me Joel, he calls me Joe. He goes, Joe, how are you? I said, fine. I said, this week, I would like to build a memorial in my planter for my wife. He started to cry. He says, Joe, I love Terry. I said, I know. We will build a nice planter. Free? Well, I had him at the emotion like I'm a salesman, right? Close it. Got to make a laugh out of this somewhere, right? Tony says, I will make a beautiful memorial. And I had prayed, Cheryl, for this. Kat, I prayed for this. I said, God, I want some kind of little monument that I could find. I found a little angel with hands like this and a bird in the hands. I said, that's mine. Where am I going with all this? I'm intentionally wanting to get whole. I'm intentionally wanting you to get healthy. I'm intentionally telling you, take those dang ashes out of your closet and get moving forward and get intentional and start coping with life that what you got, and you will see that close. Now, what's closed mean? I don't know what closed means. But I do know this, I'm a stronger person today. I think I've got a lot of help from God because every day she's telling God, help that poor guy. Every day I'm getting stronger because I'm moving forward to health. What do you got to take out of the closet? What's hiding inside of you? The expectations of life. You had hope for this, hope for that, and it's not there. When do you stop hoping and start coping and live like this is what it is, and let's move on? Because I'm tired of going to sleep wondering what if. Anybody else in that boat? Because wondering what if don't change. It's still what it is today. What you have now, Mikey, is what you have now, not what you had yesterday, what you have now. So what you got now, what are you going to be intentional about? Next week, it will not be anywhere near this hard. Because I'm going to show you through Scripture practical steps. But I want to tell you from my heart to yours, God is good to us all the time.
Thanks for listening to the teaching of Reliance Community Church of Upland, California. To discover more about us or to contact us, visit our website at www.reliance-cc.org, or you may also email us at info@reliance-cc.org, or call us at 909-294-6324. You may also write us at P.O. Box 966, Upland, California, 91785. We believe you are blessed, and we hope we've helped you deepen your relationship with the living hope, Jesus Christ.